When I look back now at the entire chapter of my life, the thing I think about the most isn't the cold, or the distance, or the rough conditions, or even the danger. It's the person I slowly became because of all of it. Because somewhere between the dark mornings, the silence, the exhaustion, the sunrises, and the freezing water, something inside me quietly started changing. And the strange thing is, I don't think I noticed it happening at the time. I was too busy surviving. I think when people imagine transformation, they imagine huge dramatic moments, big breakthroughs, massive emotional revelations, one life changing day. But honestly, well, real change often happens quietly, slowly, almost invisibly. And I think the sea was slowly conditioning me psychologically long before I had the awareness to understand what was happening, to be honest. At the time, I didn't have language like nervous system regulation, emotional conditioning, stress adaptation. I wouldn't have described any of it that way. Excuse me, I just knew something very simple. I coped with life better after the sea. That was it. But looking back now, I think those mornings were regulating me more than I realised. Because every single morning I was voluntarily stepping into discomfort, cold, fatigue, darkness, rough conditions, isolation. And over time, that changes you. Not because it makes you tougher in some hyper masculine alpha way, but because it teaches your nervous system that you can experience discomfort without collapsing. And that is a very powerful lesson psychologically. I think before that period, I was emotionally reacting to life constantly internally. Stress, pressure, conflict, expectation, overthinking. And the sea slowly taught me how to sit inside uncomfortable feelings without immediately panicking. Because when you're floating in cold water amongst rough conditions, you can't emotionally spiral. You either regulate your breathing and stay present, or the sea punishes you for losing awareness. And eventually I think that discipline started transferring into the rest of my life. Quietly, subtly. But transformation has a strange side to it too. Because when you begin changing internally, people around you sometimes stop recognising you. And that can be painful. I think one of the hardest lessons I learned during that chapter of my life was that not everyone grows with you. Sometimes people only understand the version of you they originally met. And when you begin becoming quieter and more reflective and more aware and less reactive, it can actually unsettle people, especially people who benefited from the older version of you. There's a strange loneliness that can happen during personal change, because externally you may still look the same, obviously, but internally you know something fundamental is shifting. Your tolerance changes, your awareness changes. your energy changes. And sometimes relationships struggle to survive that transition, not through hatred, not through war, just through misalignment. I think that was one of the most emotionally difficult parts of the whole journey for me. Realising that growth can sometimes create distance between you and the people you genuinely love. And that hurts. Still does sometimes, if I'm going to be really honest. I'm only human. If I could go back now and stand beside that version of myself on the shoreline all those years ago, I think I'd speak to him very differently than people expect. Not motivational, not performance, just honest. And I think I'd probably say something like, "Hey buddy, be kinder to yourself. You're carrying more than people realise. And yes, some very painful things are coming. Some people you love will misunderstand you. Some people will leave. Some people won't recognise who you're becoming. But don't lose yourself trying to keep everybody comfortable. Stay present. Stay aware. Keep trying to become a better man even on the difficult days. Because one day, all of this pain will make sense to you." I think I'd also tell him this: you are not weak for struggling. You are not broken because life overwhelmed you. And you don't need to hate yourself for the survival mechanisms you develop while trying to emotionally survive. Because honestly, I carried shame for a long time. Shame about struggling. Shame about drinking. Shame about emotional collapse. Shame. Sorry. I knew this was going to be hard. Shame about not being okay internally. And it's only now with hindsight that I can finally look at a version of myself with compassion instead of judgment. The sea didn't magically heal my life. It didn't remove pain. It didn't erase confusion. It didn't suddenly solve everything. But it did leave something behind in me. Awareness, perspective, resilience, and maybe most importantly, stillness. There's a version of calmness that only comes after chaos. Not naive calmness, earned calmness. The kind built through surviving difficult seasons, regulating yourself through emotional storms, learning when not to react, understanding your own mind more deeply. And I genuinely think the ocean played a role in helping me build that. Looking back now, I don't think the sea saved my life, but I do think it gave me enough silence to hear myself again. And sometimes that's where healing begins. Not in noise, not in distraction, not in performance, but in quiet, honest moments where you finally stop running from yourself. And I think that's why this chapter means so much to me emotionally, because it reminds me that even during periods where I felt completely lost internally, some part of me still kept moving towards life, still walking towards the sunrise, still stepping into the water, still searching for peace, even if I didn't fully understand why yet. The ocean taught me something I'll carry forever. Strength is not becoming emotionless. Strength is remaining open-hearted after life gives you reasons to close. And somewhere between the cold mornings, the rough seas, the silence and the survival, I think I slowly found my way back to myself again.